We have heard confirmed there that 3 people remain unaccounted for in Longwood East. Now, that's an area near Euroa. The Victorian police are not saying that these 3 people have died, instead only that they can't account for their whereabouts, 2 adults and a child. The very clear message from authorities there that if you are told to leave your home, you need to do so. Also, tell your family and friends where you are so that if these sort of situations happen, authorities know where people are in terms of being on the fire ground or having got to safety. The fires are being called uncontrollable and unpredictable, and the worst may still be to come today. We're expecting more dry lightning, according to authorities, from 2 p.m. These are catastrophic conditions facing the state, so bad, in fact, that at times they're saying the aerial firefighting fleet will not be able to be in the sky. So that is of significant concern. I want to bring in my colleague Holly Stearns, who's been covering these fires for us this morning. 2 of the big fires of concern here, Holly, Longwood and Walwa. We've already heard confirmed there multiple property losses.
Trudy, yeah, you've summed it up perfectly there. I mean, the authorities there being very clear about this, that this is a catastrophic warning for the state of Victoria. We have 2 blazes that are out of control at the moment, the Longwood blaze and also the Walwa blaze too. I'll get into more specifics around what areas and communities are in danger at the moment, but I just want to pick up on that point you raised there about the 3 people that are unaccounted for. Now, Victoria Police says that authorities went to the Longwood East area when they ran into these 3 people, 2 adults and a child. They alerted them that the risk was too high for them to leave and they needed them to take shelter immediately. When authorities later returned to that area in the afternoon, Trudy, the house that they were standing in front of had been completely destroyed. As you say, this doesn't mean that anything has happened dire to these 3 people, but these 3 people, 2 adults and a child, are unaccounted for currently. Authorities say there is a real risk to people's lives at the moment and that people need to heed these warnings. Here's Victoria Police.
Later that afternoon, those same fire service representatives re-attended that area to see the house that they saw those 3 people standing in front of had been completely destroyed. Those 3 people remain unaccounted for. Those 3 people, we do not know at this point of time where they may be.
Trudy, this situation is uncontrollable and out of control at the moment. We've got this Longwood fire and the Walwa fire too. So authorities say here that the situation can change so rapidly. It's dynamic, it's dangerous, and people need to keep up to date on the emergency services app. So what you're seeing here, and it's easy to put when you see it in person here. So you've got the red area there is that fire danger zone. So any community in that red zone there has been told to get out if safe to do so. So this is for the Walwa fire. This is near the New South Wales border. It has already burned through more than 9,000 hectares. This is a warning now issued for Kotong, Colac, Nariel Valley and surrounds. Authorities say leaving immediately is the safest option before conditions become simply too dangerous. Emergency services may not be able to help residents if they decide to stay. So the bushfire is about 25 kilometres west of Walwa. The bushfire is burning in Mount Lawson State Park and travelling in a south and southeasterly direction. Relief centres have been set up in the areas near the Murray Event Centre at Corryong and also Tallangatta Memorial Hall too. The Longwood fire, though, has burned through tens of thousands of hectares, Trudy, and several properties have been confirmed to have been lost, including a former school that was being used as a community hub. A CFA captain described it as if a bomb was going off. The fire poses an immediate danger to residents of course, Longwood, Loxley, including Gingin, Upton Hill, the Highlands, Yark and Kona, Fawcett as well as Strathbogie and even into Woodfield too. Now, this is going to be a catastrophic day. We are being warned that conditions could be worse than the black summer fires of 2019-2020. We are expecting to see temperatures in some parts of the state reach 46 degrees today. Most concerningly, though, is the wind gusts coming with that. The hot, dry and windy conditions, wind gusts of up to 100 kilometres an hour, as well as the soaring temperatures across the state. Here's the Emergency Management Centre.
So anywhere in the state today will be challenging and difficult conditions for our firefighters. With the winds that we'll see today, there will be periods where our aviation fleet, that is over 70 aircraft today, will not be able to fly. And so we are reminding communities you need to heed the warnings to leave now.
For those who might be thinking that they can stay and defend in these conditions, don't. It's dangerous, it's not courageous. It puts your life and also to the lives of the emergency services at risk as well.
We heard there from the Emergency Management Centre as well that about 70 firefighting aircraft have had to be grounded because it's simply too dangerous. I understand as well Ambulance Victoria has started pulling back some of its paramedics too because it's just too dangerous at the moment. Now, the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, was in Canberra today at the Emergency Management Agency, the national one in Canberra. He was being briefed on the extreme weather events that we're seeing right across the country. Of course, we've got these extreme weather conditions and fire conditions and warnings down in the south of the country, but up north you've got the cyclone warnings too. Here's the Prime Minister speaking about the current situation in Victoria.
These are difficult times and we are confronting some extreme weather conditions in different parts of Australia, different conditions. I'd say this is an opportunity for me to emphasise that people need to listen to the advice and as it comes through. If you're asked to leave your property, please do so.
Trudy, some firefighters from New South Wales and authorities there, I understand, have also come down to help the situation in Victoria. Authorities again saying that everyone in Victoria needs to be on alert today, not just, of course, they're focusing on the Walwa and Longwood fires, but everyone across the state of Victoria, because this situation is dynamic, it can change rapidly, and as we know, fires can start in any area across the state, especially with the temperatures that we're seeing today. Again, people advised to stay up to date on the Victoria Emergency app.
Holly Stearns, thanks for the latest there. We'll bring you any more information as soon as we get it, including pictures from above the firegrounds as we see that come into the newsroom. But I want to turn our attention to the other big story, one that has dominated the summer. After weeks of pressure, we saw it yesterday, the Prime Minister bowing to pressure from the public and from within his own ranks to call this Federal Royal Commission into anti-Semitism and social cohesion. It's going to be led by former High Court Justice Virginia Bell and look at 4 key areas, including examining how to tackle anti-Semitism, recommending any law changes for police, intelligence, immigration to combat it, look into the circumstances of the Bondi attack, including how governments responded to anti-Semitism in the years prior, and recommendations when it comes to social cohesion. I want to bring in political correspondent Cam Redden, who's been following this story for us all summer. Cam, we finally saw yesterday the Prime Minister relent to pressure. He insists, though, that he'd been working on it for some time.
Yeah, for weeks, Trudy. He just said he wasn't noting that publicly and wasn't indicating that this Royal Commission was coming. It was clear, though, even as of Monday, that senior ministers and members of his government were trying to play down the likelihood of this, but the winds changed quite quickly. Yesterday, the Prime Minister then confirming that Royal Commission. It will be, in his mind, the idea is to have it shorter than many other Royal Commissions that have dragged on for years. We note that main reason that he would put forward for why he did not believe a Royal Commission would be best, that the timeline so often blows out. But a restraint has been put on this for less than 1 year. He wants the final report back by the 1-year anniversary of the Bondi attacks. That would be December 14 of this year. Led by Virginia Bell, but aided too by Dennis Richardson. So the National Security and Intelligence Agency review that he was already tasked with will be rolled into the Royal Commission, and he'll provide an interim report by April. The Prime Minister this morning pushing back against some criticism he'd received that this took too long. It was 25 days from the day of the attack to when that Royal Commission was confirmed. He says, in his words, that is record time. The opposition critical of the way that it has all played out, but ultimately much of the politics seems to now be in the process of being set aside, with those who've been calling for a Royal Commission now looking to back Virginia Bell in with her work.
This is actually record time for ever calling a Royal Commission. We wanted to make sure as well that we had a full announcement, not a half one, a Royal Commissioner, terms of reference that have been agreed. I've spent many hours sitting down line by line with the community, with legal experts as well.
This is about Australians who want to see course correction, a government that responds in the national interest, because he gave us a litany of excuses about why this Royal Commission could not happen. One, then another, and all of those excuses unravelled. But it is a day to recognise the advocacy of Australians.
We'll hear from the New South Wales Premier, Chris Minns, shortly. That state, Trudy, will not pursue the Royal Commission it had planned, so you would think now he will agree to make all the agencies available to the Royal Commission anyway. In terms of what actually happens, so that is finally being ticked off today. It goes through the Governor-General, there's a process, but pretty much from the weekend, the Royal Commission is up. Virginia Bell can then set up an office, there'll be staff, and then eventually public hearings, but there will be a balance about what can be said publicly.
And it's a task she has to do pretty quickly, Cam, reporting back within the space of 12 months here on what is an incredibly vexed and complicated matter to try and solve.
And you would think, Trudy, with that list of recommendations that would require law changes, we've seen the government try and get this suite of hate speech laws and other things up in rapid time in just a couple of weeks. They're still working on that today before it can be then put to Parliament before Australia Day. But no simple tasks, certainly, but those who've been calling for it now have the commission they want.
Political correspondent Cam Redden, thank you.